Welcome to Almost Agreeable.
Almost Agreeable.
With your hosts, Chris Nellison and Ed Harris. Hang around and listen to opinions on sports, movies, music, and whatever else pops in our head.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Almost Agreeable podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ed Harris, and with me as always is Chris Nellison. Today we're continuing on our travel through the decades with music.
Right, our music by the decade.
So we're now on to the 2000s. We've broken
My generation.
through the century.
My generation, right? Even though I was a 90s baby, 90s kid, 2000s is where I heard all my jams.
Yeah, born 80s, 90s kid, music in the 2000s.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, you think about the 2000s, that's where I was in high school and junior high, so a lot of music kind of, if you think about it, if you can relate to music as you're growing up, and that was a lot of the music that came out in that decade was either influential in my life or I connected with in a big way.
Yeah, there's always something you can go back to from this moment, or like especially in high school.
Yeah.
Like this happened because of this song, and that's what makes me think of it every time I listen to that song.
Yes, and then in a way, the 2000s, like the 90s, is so broad in its genres. And then you have all these split genres of, like, you know, emo, which is like a kind of punk, but it's not punk, it's emo and screamo and
A lot of subgenres.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of like, and you know, we have a lot of different alternative, and you know, the 90s kind of started that new metal with Pantera, and then it just takes off even more in the 2000s.
Right, because then you get bands like, in that regard, like Slipknot and like Mudvayne and like those guys.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's going to be hard. This episode's going to be hard to talk about. There's going to be people we leave off that I'm going to kick myself about later. But, I mean, what stands out to you immediately from the 2000s?
Immediately from the 2000s? I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of what you said, though. It's just the same for me. This is when I started to really enjoy music and get into music and realize what I actually like. But the biggest thing for me is, I would say, the fall off of the rock heavy metal movement. I would say that's the biggest thing for me. Not that it has such a big fall off or like anything like that, but those rock stars aren't really there as the classic 70s, 80s, 90s rock stars. They're a little bit different. They're not as crazy, I feel like. They don't have that same clout, even if they might have really good music. It's just and I guess it could be attributed to what you said, the growth of everything else.
Right, the splits, the splits of these subgenres coming out. And yeah, because you don't have bands like, you know, Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. And
yeah.
I mean, you have Metallica making music, but it wasn't like it was in the 90s and the 80s.
Yeah.
And so you don't have those rock stars. I mean, well, I think we're leaving somebody off in that regard that we really should talk about, which is Nickelback.
Man, I was going to save that till the end and just be like, fuck it, let's kick it off with Nickelback.
I want to kick it off with Nickelback.
Okay, yeah,
okay?
we're kicking it off.
Because Nickelback gets a bad rap.
Why?
Because they're like, what is it when you sell a lot of albums? Oh, platinum?
Yeah, you
like
go
twice
like
platinum?
Gold, platinum, diamond, like all that
Oh,
shit.
they're diamond.
Yeah.
2 of their albums are diamond.
Yeah.
So whoever you are out there, okay, listen to me. Everyone has this massive hate for fucking Nickelback. And you know what? Someone's fucking lying.
Should we just make this a Nickelback episode? Can we just talk about Nickelback for 30 minutes?
No. But maybe. I just want to make this point. Some of y'all are fucking liars. Y'all will be in your friend group or around people and be like, oh, I hate Nickelback. Yeah, fuck, I hate this song. But when you're driving in traffic, or you're driving alone in your car to work, or anywhere for that matter, and fucking Rockstar comes on, or How You Remind Me comes on, you fucking know all the words, and you listen to the whole thing. You sing it. You fucking sing it.
Yeah, like don't tell me how you remind me comes on and you're not jamming to it, or Photograph. Dude, don't tell me Photograph comes on and you're just like not jamming.
Yeah, you're jamming. So shout out to the liars out there, but real shout out to the people that can admit that they listen to Nickelback sometimes. You're a liar if you say it's not on your rotation. Of the thousands and thousands of songs you have on your iPods and iPhones, you're lying if you say there's not a Nickelback song. It absolutely is.
So we had friends over a couple weeks ago, and their daughter walked into our guest bedroom, and she comes out with a huge iPod, like, brick. Like, the huge, like...
The iPod videos, like...
It's not that big, but it was just a huge iPod, because it was, like, 80 gigs. But it was one of the first generations of it. And so she walks out with it just in her hand. She's like, she's come from a fucking time machine? Where the fuck did she just get that?
2000 wants its iPod back.
Yeah, why is that so easily accessible? That's just fucking weird. But I guarantee you turn on that iPod, because it's dead as hell. You turn on that iPod, you're getting some Nickelback.
There's Nickelback on it.
There's Nickelback on there.
There's Nickelback on my phone right now.
So I have 0 Nickelback songs in any playlists I've created. But man, if it comes on, I'm going.
Okay, good. We can leave Nickelback.
All right, we got our Nickelback.
I had to get that out. I had to get that out there.
You jumped right on that.
I couldn't help it. I've been wanting to talk about Nickelback for a minute now because people are fucking liars.
Yeah.
Just embrace it, man.
Yeah.
Just embrace it. It's not like fucking... I don't know if I can think of another band that's as universally hated as Nickelback.
Justin Bieber at the beginning. He's not a band, but like Justin Bieber was universally hated.
But still?
Oh man.
No,
and it's a weird phenomenon. It's the start, the internet is gaining ground as Nickelback is making their records, they're making their music, and for some reason the internet just hops on this train of fuck Nickelback and fuck Guy Fieri.
Yeah, and that transforms into now fuck Yellow Team in Fall Guys.
Yeah.
The hate train just keeps on. It just jumps here. But yes, in the 2000s, it was Nickelback and Guy Fieri.
Don't understand it, but that's internet culture for you. Things just stick for some reason.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fucking fair. They never even done anything wrong. Okay, I can't keep going. I can't.
All right.
So I kind of want to talk about, because we alluded to it in the 90s episode, is because Eminem had his start really in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then in 2000s where we see Eminem cement himself in the upper echelon of rappers.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about rappers of all time, he could be put in top 10 or top 5.
Top 5.
He could be put in top 5. I would have to go through it and really.
Well, then how about this hot shot off the top of your head? Who is your top 5?
My top 5, in no particular order: Nas, Eminem, Lil Wayne. Ooh, man, I know this is gonna be a hot one. I know I'm gonna leave.
You already kicked out for something you said in the last episode, so what can you do wrong now?
Yeah, that's fair. But I have those 3. I'm on the spot.
I know, I did that on purpose. You're welcome.
It's like when you get asked, like, where do you want to eat? And then you forget any place you've ever gone to in your life.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know.
That's all I got. I'm putting Kanye there as well.
Okay.
And then can I just group together Pac and Biggie? Can I do that?
No, you can't.
I'm gonna do it.
There was a feud. So you can't. If they were like ever did any songs together, maybe, because I was gonna say Wu-Tang, because that could count as one.
Okay, that could count as one.
Because that's in my top 5.
That's fair. All right, so Pac and Biggie for 5.
Get the fuck out! Yeah, you have to leave. Okay, I guess, yeah. I can do mine a little quick, right? Eminem, Nas, in no particular order. Eminem, Nas, Biggie, Wu-Tang, Andre 3000.
Ooh, the curveball.
Yeah, hot route. Hot take.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Hot take, hot route.
Confusion. Okay, so Eminem, right, he comes in, and I think, we are kind of like, what the fuck? He's rapping, he's this white guy who's, talking shit on everybody, and talking about some pretty fucked up shit in his songs.
Yeah.
And it just made it made a lot of people uncomfortable, and that's how we get to the superstardom that he achieves.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it really was like, oh, this white boy. It's not anymore. It's not anymore. It's straight up just like, oh, it's just Eminem. He's just a rapper. But in the beginning, straight up, I mean, it's not rap. Like, everybody on the radio, 99% of what you have is gonna be black artists. That's just how it was. That was the culture.
Right, you didn't see this. Like, you had, like, Vanilla Ice trying some shit in the 90s, but it was like, shut the fuck up, dude.
And I know there's going to be some people who are missing, but Eminem really comes into the game as like, oh, this white boy, and then they're like, oh, shit.
Oh, fuck.
This guy spits.
Yeah, I mean, Dre found him. Let's give credit.
Yeah.
Like, Dre finds him, and so, like, what other rappers do you have in the 2000s? I mean, because I got Jay-Z doing his thing.
Jay-Z is a constant. That's for sure.
He didn't make either of our top fives.
He doesn't. Okay, let me make a sports comparison.
Okay, good.
Jay-Z is Tony Gonzalez. In the game forever. And is a legend. But was he ever really like anybody's favorite rapper of all time? He always had good stuff. He constantly put out good stuff. But was he ever the best or anybody's favorite at one point?
Not like the general public. I mean, definitely people are like, Jay-Z is my favorite. But like, I don't know that, like, as, like, because you can have a whole thousands of people say Eminem's the greatest or
True.
Nas is the greatest. It's probably a smaller amount of people that are going to say something like that about Jay-Z. I actually, to be honest, like, was never a huge fan of Jay-Z. And that's just me, though. And, you know, you've, over these music episodes, have kind of learned my taste, so take from that what you will. My word is not, you know, law or anything to be taken seriously, I guess. But, yeah, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of Jay-Z, but, I mean, in the 2000s, I mean, he gets to a point where he is, like, one of the godfathers.
Yeah. Like, he's the new... Because you have, you know, not the original, but you have rap starting out in the 80s, you know? That's kind of when it gains a foothold and then kind of expands in the 90s. And so we have, like, the older generations, like we have Public Enemy, like we have Sugar Hill Gang, like we have these, like, literal progenitors of rap. And then we have, like, the new Godfather, which I would say Jay-Z is part of. Like, Jay-Z, Nas, like, these late 90s... early 2000s guys.
Right, is Diddy there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diddy's in there too.
Okay.
Which one? Puff Daddy, P. Diddy?
P. Diddy is 2000s. Puff Daddy is 90s.
You're right.
If as long as we're talking about rap right now, when did College Dropout come out for Kanye?
What was that, like 04?
04, because I think Late Registration comes out in 06, right? Homecoming is in there too. He had like a lot of great albums in the 2000s.
That's why Kanye is absolutely in my top 5.
Yeah, let's just put aside that this motherfucker's crazy now and he's trying to run for president. Like, we're gonna put that aside and we're gonna talk about 2000s Kanye, because 2000s Kanye was fucking amazing.
It was really good. I mean, on the last music episode we were talking about how Nas, I think he has the best debut album of all time. I think Kanye for rap is second. I couldn't tell you second overall, but I think for rap albums, Kanye is number 2 for best debut of all time.
Well, I mean, if you think about the decade of the 2000s, and specifically we're talking about Kanye, it's like, I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else that comes out with these hot of albums in one decade, right? Okay, so College Dropout drops in 2004. Then Late Registration in 05. Then Graduation in 07. And then he finishes up with 808s and Heartbreaks in 08.
And all these have different sounds.
Completely different. It's like he came to the recording studio and said, we're doing things a little differently today.
Yeah.
Like, I can pick out songs from each of those albums that I still bang in my car today.
Yeah.
So, Kanye, for me, and Eminem, if you look at the 2000s, are like the rap artists that were the most at the forefront and the most influential. Because for a while you had like, and this is, I'm not trying to take this anywhere, but a generation of white artists coming up that looked at Eminem and said, damn, like, I can also rap too. And you get these idiots like MGK and Yellow Wolf and those guys, right? Not saying it's a good thing that they came out of the woodwork and Riff Raff and all that shit. But you have that influence from Eminem. And with Kanye, it's like Kanye was a producer before this. And then he fucking has a near-death experience. And he says, you know what? I'm going to fucking put my message out there. And for a little while, the message was okay. I was down with it. These days, not so much. Right?
Going off the rails
a little bit. Yeah, when you have an ego, a following, you're a superstar, your ego can inflate just a little bit.
It happens. It happens. So, I mean, and this kind of shift in music is being explained, I mean, even in our conversation right here. Okay, we start out talking about Nickelback, but, I mean, most of this podcast, this episode has been talking about rap. This is really when it kind of blows up.
Right.
Not that it was novelty. I would say it's novelty in the 80s. I would say it was more of a novelty in the 80s. Like, okay, yeah, this is kind of fun to listen to. Even if it is, like, some people's lifeblood. It's their story. But it still wasn't big. 90s, it was like, okay, it's still kind of to the side. Like, yeah, if you listen to rap, it's the devil.
Yeah.
But in the 2000s...
All they talk about is drugs and guns and murder.
In the 2000s, now that is mainstream.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have radio stations that just play rap.
Yeah.
You didn't have that in the 80s. For sure didn't have it, a whole bunch of them in the 90s. I mean, I feel like we spent a lot of time on rap, but I really feel like it really was the music of the decade.
I absolutely agree with that. That is... Yeah. Just 100% came out and...
I mean, I've even talked about, like, Nelly and, you know, Destiny's Child. This is Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
This isn't just Beyonce. And Beyonce comes out, like, as a solo artist in the 2000s, but this is Destiny's Child. This is Nelly. This is Alicia Keys. You know, this is this generation. Outkast. Like, early Outkast.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the 2000s without talking about Outkast. I'll talk about Big Boy and fucking Andre 3000.
Yeah, they're nuts, man.
So, I mean, and so I could maybe come back to that. But I do want to talk about these split genres we get from rock, right?
Well, the biggest thing I wanted to go into was pop punk.
Okay.
Like, we get so many, like, emo bands, you know, that you're talking about. I mean, that is still a lot of people's go-to today. Some of these songs from the early 2000s, like Blink-182 or The Offspring or pop punk, really, I don't think it was as big. No, never mind. I was going to say something dumb. I was going to say, like, maybe it's bigger now, like, people still listen to it now, but it was huge back then.
It might be still listened to now, but it was so big because it was so new in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, Blink-182, like, consistently just crazy dudes, like, singing about random shit. Okay?
Yeah.
But then you get, like, Fall Out Boy and, like, Bowling for Soup and, like, All Time Low and the All American Rejects and, like, this group, like, there's so many. You know, I can sit here and not say any prepositions or connecting words and just name bands from that genre for 40 minutes. I would fill the fucking time slot. There's so many.
And, like, of course, when we're talking about all these, we're talking about when they made their mark. Because, of course, Blink-182 was in the 90s. Yeah, they were there. But they really started to make their mark in the 2000s.
Right, because when does Enema of the State come out? Like,
I think that is 99.
Okay. That's right before the new millennium. So,
yeah.
So that fucking counts towards the 2000s.
Yeah.
Because then you get Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yep.
And then you get the Blink-182 self-titled album, and this is before Tom went off to chase aliens and do his own bullshit. So, I mean, that's a band. You still have, like, the remnants of boy bands, but they're starting to split. You get Justin Timberlake in the 2000s, dude.
Yeah, you get Justin Timberlake making a prolific solo career.
Yeah, and you don't see that a lot. How many Backstreet Boys have a solo career right now?
I couldn't name another Backstreet Boy.
How many? Yeah, you're right. How many Spice Girls are doing solo things right now?
I don't know.
How many? What the fuck is Nick Lachey doing?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know anybody except for JT is the man. That's all I know.
You know who Lance Bass is. Let's be real.
I know who Lance Bass is.
Lance Bass.
But I know the name, but that's it. That's it.
He's the blonde one.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So J Timbo comes out in the 2000s. That's lit. I do like that.
And we're getting, like you said, a little bit more crossovers. Like 2000s is, you know, when we're kind of getting the rap is now mainstream, and we're getting more of these subgenres of music, and of course we've had crossovers before. Like we've had Run DMC with Aerosmith, and then I think the later version of that is Linkin Park and Jay-Z.
Oh fuck yeah! What was it? They fucking did like Hybrid Theory with Jay-Z on it, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Meteora?
I think it might have been me.
Real quick, can we pause real quick? Can we talk about Linkin Park? Like, this is where Linkin Park comes in.
Exactly.
So before we even get to that crossover with Jay-Z, I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to talk about Linkin Park. Like, this is prime Linkin Park. Like, I don't want to say it's a sound we never heard before, but like that debut album, Hybrid Theory, for them, can go on that list of greatest debut albums of all time.
Okay.
It can go there.
I can see that.
Because I don't know that... I mean, Chester could scream, rest in peace, could scream and sing like at a level that like I wasn't accustomed to in a genre that I wasn't accustomed to. It was just so new.
Yeah, this is that new metal, literally that new metal genre.
Because you have Mike Shinoda too, who's like he's rapping essentially on these songs.
Yep.
And it's just it was different. It was so different, and that God, I forgot about Hybrid Theory, dude. How many times I listened to that album front to back. That is an album you can listen to front to back.
Yeah.
But then you had the crossover with Jay-Z, and that was... I don't know, my little brother fucking loved that shit. He, like, bought it when I was, like, downloading all music for free. He didn't care. He bought it. He bought the fucking crossover album.
And, yeah, things just continue from there, and it tends to happen more in the 2010s that we'll get to in the next episode, but this is... the start of that becoming a little bit more common instead of being, I've used this word before, a novelty. Right.
And as I was talking about splits earlier, this is a decade where splits between like groups and solo careers are happening. We talked about J. Timb already. I mentioned briefly that Beyonce split from Destiny's Child to start her own career. Gwen Stefani leaves no doubt to do Gwen Stefani things.
Yeah.
It's like this is kind of where that's happening too. Like, I mean, shit. If you think about Panic at the Disco, it really is just him.
Yeah.
It's Brandon Urie, essentially, is all Panic at the Disco is. So, like, you have the solo artists and, like, coming from groups kind of emerging in this decade as well.
Yeah.
And then you also have, like, as far as we're talking about, like, the subgenres, indie. You get, like, Death Cab for Cutie and Snow Patrol and the Postal Service and all that shit.
Some of this softer stuff
Yeah.
that is still having kind of, I don't know, aggressive content sometimes, but...
I wouldn't say aggressive, I would say heavy.
Heavy, okay, heavy. Perfect.
It's heavy. It weighs on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes you cry, for
because
sure.
Because Brand New kind of falls into that a little bit, too.
Brand New content is definitely heavy, and that's a band that is... I mean, it's fantastic, number one. And the structure of the songs that they do and their album like names are always very strange, but they're just such a good band. Like that's a band that I actually used to cover like
no shit
in a band that I was with.
Oh, I know. Our buddy Tyler loves fucking Brand New.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he wanted to go to Bumbershoot one year just because Brand New was in the lineup.
Yeah.
And you know what he fucking did?
He went right to Bumbershoot.
He came to Bumbershoot. So I was a band in the 2000s that I know you love that you haven't brought up yet, and it surprises me. Maybe because I've been so fucking loud and dominating the conversation, I apologize, but do you know who I'm talking about? Don't be a fucking tool.
Okay. I didn't bring up Tool, and I wasn't going to this episode or last episode because it's kind of split.
Is it?
It's split for me between the two.
So you double fucked up? You didn't bring him up in the 90s?
No,
you weren't going to bring him up now?
I purposefully didn't bring them up in either one because they're that kind of mid-decade band.
But they're still making music now. They transcend decades.
Yes,
man.
okay. But
we're almost in the 4th decade since they started making music.
Yes, but if we're talking about when they really made their mark, it was kind of in between. It's kind of both. So that's why I didn't want to talk about them on both episodes.
Then when did you listen to them the most? In the 2000s or the 90s?
In the 2000s.
Okay, so I'm giving you the forum here, Ed.
Okay, then by that, then we can't even talk about, like, we would be talking about every single, band because we weren't alive in the 70s. You were alive in, the last 20 days of the 80s.
Okay. You know what? Fine. Fuck it. Fuck Tool. We won't talk about it. I'll just go fuck myself. Just trying to give you. I was just trying to see you be passionate, man.
Okay, look, because they have 2 amazing albums in the 90s and then 2 amazing albums in the 2000s.
So you could have talked about them in both decades.
I would like to talk about the decade of 93 to 2006.
That's not a decade. Math is hard.
But, Tool is weird as fuck.
Yeah.
We can start out with that. Tool is weird as shit. Tool fans are usually pretty fucking annoying. That's just the truth. But Tool is a band that is definitely under the radar for most people. That they don't come up on these types of lists that we're doing. But talking about what we listen to, of course Tool is going to be there. They have 4 really good albums, and then their last one that came out, this year is solid. It's a solid album, but the things that they were doing in the 90s and 2000s, it was so strange. It was so raw. And if you do listen to some of their music, it's not difficult, but it's just strange because they have different time signatures. So if you're bobbing your head to something and it's a count of 4, then they switch it up. They go to a count of 3 or a count of 7. And then you're thrown off. You're like, all right, I still like this, but I don't know how to bob my head.
It's unpredictable.
I don't know how to bob my head anymore.
Do you know who else we had in the 2000s?
Who?
Fucking Coldplay.
Oh my god. Know how I know you're gay?
Wasn't going to lead with that. I was going to say that.
You like Coldplay.
Coldplay. But yeah, that joke is funny. But Coldplay though. What sound is that? What is that genre?
I don't know, man. Coldplay, you know how I view Coldplay? The same as I view U2. It's the same, I don't fucking know what to call it, and I don't know why they're so famous. They're fucking huge.
They're British.
They're so fucking huge, and I don't know why they're so famous, because I don't listen to them at all. But I can tell you some fucking songs from them.
Yeah. There is a huge... with most of the people I've encountered in my life, by a wide margin, hates Coldplay. But it's like the anti-Nickelback. They keep it in here as opposed to their outward hatred for Nickelback. It's their inside hatred for Coldplay, and they don't talk about it. So they're the anti-Nickelback. People are like, yeah, Coldplay, but deep inside they fucking hate them, and it's weird. It's weird to me.
Yeah. Who's the band? It's not the Steve Miller Band, but it's another band like that. And a lot of people just call him by his first name. Just one name. Motherfucker.
This one's gonna be a fucking bitch to edit.
I know, I'm so sorry.
No, it's not you. I'm talking about this nonsense from outside the door.
I'm not nonsense.
I didn't say you were nonsense. I said you were uttering nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
Nonsense.
You're nonsense.
Get out of my house. So U2, Coldplay, and Dave Matthews Band are all the exact same to me. They all have these super famous followings, and they're just famous themselves. They have these huge shows, and I don't know why they're all famous. I don't understand. I don't get it.
I think one of the reasons for Dave Matthews being so popular is that he plays great live shows. You ever seen footage from their concerts? That dude can put on a show.
He can. The only I don't.
So can Bono.
I don't hate any of these bands. I just don't understand how they're so famous. The only thing I do hate is that people who love Dave Matthews Band, they're just oh, you listen to Dave?
It's who the fuck are you talking about?
Who the fuck is Dave?
Dave Clark 5?
And also, have you even met this Dave
that
you're
you
calling by his first name?
You can't call him Dave.
You can't call him Dave. You don't know Dave.
Yeah, no, you can't call him Dave. It's not like, Kobe,
That's just a... Yeah.
Or Michael.
It's just different.
It's Dave Matthews to you, sir.
Yeah.
So, I guess I brought up Coldplay because they're from that era and whatever.
They're huge. They're huge.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave them out.
It's confusing, man.
I guess, and we were talking about solo artists earlier, splitting off, but like we didn't talk about solo artists in general. Like we get Britney Spears popping on the scene in the '90s, the late '90s, but then we get Britney Spears popping in the 2000s doing toxic shit,
Owning it.
Yeah,
Owning it.
until 2007 when she had her meltdown.
Yeah, but she's still owning it.
We also have Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, you can't say one without the other.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. She's bad. She's bad. She was like the dirty Britney Spears.
I loved it. I always loved Christina Aguilera, and she's got some pipes, bro.
Yeah, that girl has, holy shit. You would never imagine. I think she's like 5'3".
She's tiny.
She's so small. You would never imagine her belting out. Like, that's perfect word for it. That girl can belt out some songs.
Because then you had that song where all of them got together. It was like a remake, Lady Marmalade.
Yeah, yep.
And it was like Lil' Kim, Christina Aguilera, and that's all I remember.
Yeah, that's all I remember. That's it. But I mean, she was in Burlesque, which is a great movie.
Yeah,
and then wouldn't you like, oh shit, girl puts on a show.
She does.
But I mean, one thing we for sure have to talk about, one of the most bangingest songs that literally you put this on, like there's wedding songs that you can put on, and people just vibe, right? You put on September by Earth, Wind & Fire, people are vibing.
They're vibing.
Okay. What's another song you put on, people just go for it at weddings? It just gets people on the dance floor.
Shout.
Oh, yeah, classic.
Shout.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And those are perfect songs that you can put on at weddings. So the age we're getting to, you could put this song on, and it's a throwback, but it gets people out there. It's Usher. It's Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You put that on.
Bro, that whole album.
That whole album's very good.
Because you got, of course you got Yeah, but you got like Confessions, you got Burn. That's a great album, but yeah, for sure. I mean, Usher in the 2000s too was hot.
And that's the route I'm going. Just like he was on it.
He was.
He was fantastic. You know, my wife used to have a huge crush on him.
And that's good.
Like, she was like, dang, Usher's so hot, and like, this is awesome. I love Usher. And then, you know, my wife's tall, she's 5'10", and then she cried when she found out he's like 5'7".
Oh no. He doesn't look 5'7".
No, he doesn't.
Like the things they can do with TV, man.
Yeah, you know, it's the Tom Cruise effect.
That's exactly where I was going with that. You know, we're coming towards the end of our time slot here, but I wanna name some other bands. Just honorable mentions, I guess. Like I loved the Killers in the 2000s.
Oh shit. Okay.
Loved the Killers.
Okay. So just before you get on to the next one, whatever that is, you gotta check out. There's multiple different playlists of these. All right, but you gotta go on Spotify and check out the playlist. Songs that excite the white folk.
Oh, Mr. Brightside's on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
where you're going with
That's
this.
where I'm going with this, because Mr. Brightside is an absolute 2000s banger.
Well, do you want to talk about bands that get white people hype?
I mean, you just got to go to that playlist.
Right, I want to.
It explains it.
I want to. The Fray.
Okay.
The Fray.
The Fray.
The Fray. Don't forget how many fucking teenage kids were like banging How to Save a Life and Over My Head Cable Car. Like, oh, this is my life. Like, this is me. This is what I'm going through right now with The Fray. Like, I mean, I'm not speaking from experience.
It's yeah. You know, we're gonna put that playlist in the link for the podcast.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll post it.
Hell yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite playlists. It's just good.
My Chemical Romance.
Never really a fan for My Chemical Romance. But I mean, there was just so many. Like, we're not going to be able to fit everybody in, so it's difficult. But just to wrap up, were there any other specific artists or bands or, you know, topics that you wanted to touch on?
Gorillas.
Paramore.
What's that, Bacon?
Paramore.
Oh, who's that?
Okay, good.
All right.
I guess it would be shameful to leave out Haley.
I love Haley Williams. I dyed my hair like her.
And that's our executive producer.
So,
Oh boy. So we do have Paramore. We have the Babe, Haley Williams.
Yeah,
And that's probably where my thing for like alternative girls comes from. Just from seeing her, I was like, damn, like that's what's up. Like I probably have a thing for alternative girls from Haley Williams. I have a thing for like hippie girls from Stevie Nicks. And then I don't know, that's the only thing I can think of right now.
just go through your My Bitches playlist.
Yeah, but like that's all just like later.
Gorillas.
And
then we can, like, I thought we can go to Hot Route after that. Gorillas. So, Hot Route. We got some Hot Routes for Ed.
All right, we got some hot routes.
Hot Route number 1. What was the best music video from the 2000s?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is too quick of an answer. Way too quick of an answer, but it's probably right. Stacy's mom.
No. I mean, yes. Because you think about 2000s, like, that's when music videos were, like, really popping.
That's when they started to be things other than, like...
Them playing music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It started to be, like, a story.
Right, you had Blink-182 run around naked.
Yeah.
Because for me, the answer to this question is Roses by Outkast.
Okay.
Great music video
I
because
get behind that.
there's parts in it that aren't in the song, like if you listen to it on the album.
Yeah.
It's an amazing music video.
Yeah, definitely music videos, like, took off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, every, like, rap music video looks like the inside of a cheese grater, just, like, lit up.
Yeah, like, I think about Nirvana in that regard. Smells Like Teen Spirit is a perfect example of what you just described.
Yep.
Okay, I like that.
But definitely Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne. It's just a classic about, you know...
Stacy's Mom.
Horny youth.
Yeah.
Horny youth.
MILFs,
dude. MILFs.
So, did you watch, like, any... Because, you know, this is, like, a very big period for MTV. Where it wasn't really music anymore.
It changed it up, for sure.
Did you watch any of the shows on there?
Fucking everyone.
Okay, good. This is perfect then. Road Rules or Real World?
Real World.
Real World immediately?
Absolutely. Not even a question. Real World.
What's your knock on Road Rules?
Just not as good. Just plain and simple. Plain and simple, not as good. Real World was the drama.
It really was.
The drama,
dramatic. This is like pre-Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
So, like, Real World was real.
It was nuts.
Okay.
It was nuts.
I like that. I'm glad. That was pretty quick. Real World immediately.
Immediate.
And then, if you had to take one genre from the 2000s, and that's all you could take from that decade,
ooh,
what would it be?
So if I could just listen to music from that genre.
And, like, nothing else from the decade existed.
Nothing else from the decade existed. I don't think it would be... Oh, God, I say it wouldn't be rap, but, like... So rap is probably up there just because of, like, Eminem and Kanye, but I also, like... I think I might like more rap from the 90s and 2010s combined. And it wouldn't be any kind of metal. I mean, it'd be pop punk. It'd be like the emo pop punk, like that kind of style of music.
Yeah.
It would have to be that because there's nothing like that. It was confined. We kind of still have that in some different
things. But it's not as big
It's not as big. Like, yeah,
and we're older.
We still have Bullet for My Valentine doing a couple things, but that's not even the same.
No.
That's more like hardcore than, pop punk.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely have to go with like Plank and all the bands.
Okay,
like
very good. I like that because I thought for sure you were going to take rap.
It's close. It's real close.
Yeah. All right, well that wraps up another music episode. I think the music episodes from here on out are going to be kind of things like we've been talking for several episodes about best debut albums of all time. So maybe we'll do that next time. And just talk
we got
to
finish out with the 2010s.
No, we don't.
We're done.
No,
we're done. We got to
need to let it marinate.
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 All right.
Maybe we'll do that. Fuck. Why did you remind me?
Because I have something specifically for the 2010s, so
I
we
just
have to
really
do it.
feel like the 2010s music is depressing.
No, you're being childish just because you're sticking to music. Like, you can change, Chris. It's allowed.
No, it's not. I'm an old man set in his ways. He can't teach a old dog new tricks. So that's all we got today. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Ed.
And this has been Almost Agreeable. Thank you for listening to another episode of Almost Agreeable. You can catch all new episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Almost Agreeable.